Hello everyone and welcome back. So today we'll be looking at manuscript writing, which is directly associated and linked to your assignment 3. So basically all that we cover in today's lecture is your assignment 3. This lecture is divided in two parts. First one is manuscript writing part 1, where we'll be looking at the literature review. How do you write literature review or background and methods? And then you will be having a second part where I'll be teaching you how do you write the discussion session section. And there is actually a third part, video recording, where I go over how do you undertake data analysis for your results section. So yes, I'll be covering literature review and methods in this part. Then you have a separate video for your data analysis and results. And then you have a third video, which is for your discussion. All right. So yeah, this is how the recording is divided, because as you will appreciate, manuscript writing is a very long and a detailed process, and recording everything in one video is nearly impossible, and I'll die talking. Okay, so for my health and mental health, let's break this down in three parts. Okay, so yeah, so basically, how is this going to be useful? This learning how to write a manuscript or a scientific report is absolutely useful, because this is not just a key skill for assignment 3, but you write numerous reports in real life setting when you graduate and when you start working. So yes, this is a real life scientific writing skill which I'm teaching you, and this is directly associated with your dietitians association national competency standard framework domain 3. All right, so this is your evidence that you have met this domain when you develop your portfolio, that you have written manuscript. And of course, when you are on community placements, you are required to write a scientific report or a manuscript as well. So learning now will help you perform better in your placements. All right, so everything that you do, guys, in this unit, I have made sure that it helps you in your placement, that you feel successful and comfortable in your placement, confident with the task. And of course, these are the skills which will help you in your real life setting as well. Okay, so everything that you learn has real world applications. All right, so yep, these are your learning outcomes. So yes, as always, let's first go through the assignment 3 rubric, and then we will come back to the PowerPoint slide. All right, so I'll just share with you the assignment 3 rubric. Yep, here you go. I'll just make sure that it's shared. Yes, it is. All good. All right, so again, guys, this is a major assignment, just like how your assignment 2 was a major assignment and it was for 35%. Even your assignment 3 is for 35%. Okay, and you will be writing the manuscript as per the Nutrition and Dietetics Journal, which is associated with the Dietitians Australia. So now it is not called as the Dietitians Association of Australia. It's just called as DA, Dietitians Australia. Okay, so yep, please look at the author guidelines, which is this link. Look at the author guidelines as to how you need to format the article. This is a scientific writing process. Every journal has its own guidelines. So you have to look up the author guidelines for formatting needed for the journal of, for the Nutrition and Dietetic Journal. All right. And the word count, if I'm not mistaken, it's 3,000 words. Do not go beyond the word count provided to you by the author guideline. Okay. Because journals are very strict about it. So it's good for you to practice in the same manner. Some of you get confused that do we have to submit our work to the journal? No, you do not have to submit your assignment to the actual journal. Okay, this is a simulated setting. This is a mock manuscript writing experience. You just have to write your manuscript and submit it to me on Canvas for marking. Do not approach the journal. Okay, don't do that. All right. All right, and then I've just given you brief guidelines over here from the author guideline, but please read the author guidelines in detail. I will not be going through this. This is very intuitively written, so it won't be very difficult for you to understand. So please go through the author guidelines to understand font size, say spacing, formatting, all of the requirements needed. Okay, then SPSS software. So as I said that for the manuscript, you have a results section. For the results section, you need to do data analysis. Where did you get this data from? You got this data from your assignment 2, where you had completed the pre and post questionnaire. Okay, so of course, in one of the videos, I will be teaching you how do you do the data analysis in SPSS. For this purpose, you will need to have SPSS. So first option, all university, not all university, all desktops in the library, they have SPSS. There are specific computer labs on campus which have SPSS on the university computers, which can be identified from this link. Even the librarian, if the link is not working or if there are some updates, just ask the librarian in building 8 about which computers have SPSS, so you can go on campus and you can do your analysis. The second option is, if you do not want to use university SPSS, which is on university desktop, where you will have to go on campus. If you do not want to do that, then you have 14 days free SPSS version available when you download it for the first time. All right, so I talk more about this in your data analysis video, but just a heads up that because it's only for 14 days that it is free. It is 14 or 15, again I'm not sure, but yeah, so it's only for approximately 2 weeks that it is free. Download the software closer to the analysis, so when you are confident and sure that within these 3 or 4 days you're going to complete the analysis, that is when you should download it. Do not download and keep it, will expire and then it's of no use. Then you'll have to go to the university on campus desktops. Okay, so yes, and if you have no idea about SPSS, there are training available from University of Canberra. Of course, there are a million YouTube videos to show you the basics of SPSS, such as data entry and things like that. So YouTube is like one of your best teachers for this. And as I have indicated, I have provided you my epidemiology, some of the epidemiology lecture slides. And in those slides, I have provided a brief overview about data entry in SPSS and about the basic stats that you run in SPSS. So those slides will be helpful for you. And the associated epidemiology, those lecture or tutorial videos are there on YouTube as well. Okay. So these are the maximum resources that I can give you for and to support your learning. Honestly, guys, as you will grow in the semester, you will realize that this much of help is not provided. So I really hope you can value and maximize your learning opportunity in this unit. Okay. All right, guys. So we'll move forward now. So guys, this is just the regular rubric that you have. What will be helpful for you is for you to look at this table as well. All right. So generally we have 3 or 4 students who are working in one group on a project. All right. So as I said, this is again, this assignment is a group work, meaning the group leader will submit one manuscript on Canvas. All of you will not submit a manuscript each. Some of these students, they have done that last year and it's pretty annoying. Please don't do that. Have this much of synergy and respect in your group to submit one assignment that I have requested. Okay, and it has to be in a Word document. So yes, guys, this is how the marks are divided, because even though it's a group work, you all get your individual marks depending upon the quality of your writing, all right, and the scientific content. So for instance, methods, data analysis result written by student 1, student 2, abstract, literature review, and all of the appendix and the associated marks. Student 3 and 4 would be focusing on the discussion. Now, as you can appreciate, you have had some practice about writing methods in your ethics application. You have had some practice of writing the introduction in your ethics application. The discussion is completely new, completely novel. That's going to be your first time experience. All right. Therefore, I have clubbed students for discussion if there are 4 of you, or else if there is just one student, Still, they will only be writing the discussion section because it's a very, very new experience, and writing the discussion requires a lot of thorough critique, understanding, which is what you will realize when I teach you how to write a discussion section. Okay, so it's a very critical skill, a scientific writing skill, very unique in itself. So yes, the students who would be doing the discussion, they will not be doing anything else, because writing a discussion section is not easy. It's pretty challenging, where you're defending and you're arguing and say protecting your results. Okay, so it is a unique skill to learn. Students who are planning to have say careers in research, maybe say as a PhD student, or say maybe think about dual roles, say where I said, like, you can be like how I was in Western Sydney University. I was a dietitian and I was even a researcher. So my title was a research postdoctoral dietitian. So I had a lot of dietitian duties, but I also had research duties. If you are planning such dual careers or would be interested in the same, writing the discussion will be a good exposure for you in, say, challenging yourself for scientific writing. Students who have written the methods, it may be useful for you to continue writing the methods for your assignment 3. Students who have written the introduction in your ethics application, again, it would be useful for you to continue writing the introduction in your assignment 3. Why? Because you are familiar with that, and maybe you can add in more. These are just suggestion, guys. There is no hard and fast, any ground rules are not there. What is say solid is this division. Okay, so this division stays. How you want to divide this in your group is up to you. But when you submit your assignment for grading, I need this. Okay, so the very first page of your manuscript, give me this division. All right, make a table like this. All right, tell me who the student one is. So over here, you should have your name and student ID. Similarly for both of these, and then I'll know who is writing what section. Okay, last year many students had forgotten this, and I had to individually email student, which is very annoying. Okay, so please respect my time as well. And I know a lot of you do, so it's not that you deliberately do it. I would know, of course, so you don't, but please don't forget these things. These things may look minor to you, but imagine if I don't get this, and what if I just like give all of you the same marks? You don't want that happening, right? So give me the division. All right, because this time I will not go running around asking that give me the division. I'll just mark you all the same. Okay, if I don't know who's doing what, all of you get the same marks. Okay, because at the end of the semester, when we have to mark so many assignments, and then we have to give it to the university so that you get your results and your transcripts and everything in time, then you need to appreciate that even I'm time bound at the end to finish all these marking and proceed further. Then running behind every student, and students don't even get back to you in time. Okay, they will take their jolly good time of 3-4 days in replying to your email. This time I'm not doing that. This time I have my ground rules, which is if you don't give me the division, all of you get the same marks. Okay, so some of to make this as clear as possible, I'll even write it over here. If the division is not provided, all students in the same group will get the same marks. Okay, so now I have written and it's official. All right, so can't make it more official than this. So please be mindful and give me the division. All right, so sorry I'm stressing this 200 times this year, because last year there were so many who missed out on this, but that wasted a lot of time, and then I couldn't return the results in time, and it all got delayed. If you do not want those delays, then coordinate among your group properly. And this should ideally be the responsibility of the group leader to see that this is mindfully done. Okay, so group leaders, please make a note of this. That would be helpful. All right, so yes, guys, the rubric is pretty straightforward, not really rocket science. Okay, so yes, the most important thing is that you look at the author guidelines, so you know how you have to say design your article, format your article. Okay, so guys, now I'll go on to the PowerPoint again. So yes, your assignment 3 rubric is done. I have provided you with the details. So yes, you will have all of these things as part of your manuscript Word document. Again, submit a Word document. If you're submitting a PDF, your marks will be cut. Okay. So yes, do not submit PDF because as I told you even earlier, I will be cutting marks this year if PDF is submitted because giving feedback on a PDF is a pain. With Word document, it's pretty fast when you can make track changes. Okay, so please appreciate this is again in terms of time and my capacity. All right, so we'll start now. So the first section which you write in a manuscript is your literature review background. Okay, so guys, you have written this in brief for your ethics application. All right, so your section F, that is what I have written for you. So it's not, it's easier for you to back refer. So your section F in ethics application was your literature review background. So please look at your ethics application when you start writing this. Look at the feedback which you received in that assignment because all of this will help you write a improved version of your introduction for your manuscript. Okay. So guys, I will not be going through this detail again because I have provided very good details about how you write an introduction section for your ethics application, and the same stays over here. There is one thing which is different over here, which I had even mentioned in the ethics application. That is something certainly I will go through in detail with. Okay. So how to write the prevalence data remains the same. How to write significance in terms of consequences and causes, that too remains the same. Okay. Then you have identifying the gaps in the literature. So yes, over here, if you remember my video and my lecture slides on ethics application, I said that the first thing which you have to do in identifying the gap in the literature is you have to summarize what is already done on this topic. Okay. So yes, and I said you have to do this very, very briefly in the ethics application because of limited words. And I had shown you how to do that. And I said that you have to do this in detail, meaning summarizing the existing literature on your topic in detail when you're writing a manuscript. So how do you do that? We will look at this in the next slide. All right. So now, guys, the example which I have taken in this is the same, which is it was the example was on nutrition education based, say, intervention with Samoans adult who had type 2 diabetes and you wanted to improve their dietary self-efficacy. All right. So this was the sort of intervention which you had. So basically, as I said, you have to first summarize what has been already done, and then you have to derive a gap out of it or gaps out of it. Okay, so this is how you summarize it. So for instance, and this is the kind of detail, guys, I have explained in my video where I teach you how to write the discussion section, because the style is pretty much quite same in summarizing the say findings of other literature. The style is quite similar in the discussion, you will see. So yeah, so that's why I have gone into the same details in your discussion section as well. All right, that video. So yep, over here, for instance, this is how you would summarize, and I'll read it out. I'll explain. That's how I'm going to go about this. Okay. So for instance, I'll be summarizing, you summarize multiple articles if there are more articles who have been working in your same space. Okay. So for instance, 5 original article, and I have given you the details, which is 5 original articles where 4 randomized control trial and 1 was quasi-experimental in design. Okay. So because these are all intervention based, that's why it's like this. And then 2 narrative reviews, which were predominantly on randomized control trials. And when I say predominantly, I just don't give you that word. In scientific writing, you have to quantify. So what does predominant mean? 17 out of 20 studies were RCTs in these 2 narrative reviews. Does that make sense? Okay. So yeah, so these articles, and they were originating, say, mostly from Western countries like US, UK, Australia. All right. Examined improvements in dietary self-efficacy post type 2 diabetes nutritional management intervention. Okay, so in this sentence, I'm telling you so many things, that these are the studies which you are summarizing, which have done research in an area which is very similar to yours, meaning they have done a nutrition education session on type 2 diabetic individuals who are adults, and they are also looking at improving self-efficacy, dietary self-efficacy in these diabetic individuals. Okay, and then I have summarized from all of these studies the age, and therefore I have provided a range because I'm summarizing so many studies in this one statement. It is not that I'm summarizing one study. Okay, when you're summarizing so many studies, I have taken the minimum and maximum age from these studies. All right. And then I have said, yes, these studies included male and female, and they were predominantly Asia Pacific in origin. Okay, the participants in these intervention. So, and you see, although my research is on Samoan, my intervention is on Samoan. Maybe, so hypothetically speaking, maybe there is no intervention conducted predominantly or only on Samoans. The kind of research which I'm finding existing in the literature, they are looking at the Asia Pacific population. Therefore, I have written Asia Pacific population predominantly. And when I say predominantly, what do I mean by that? Tongan, Fijian, and Samoans. Okay. So this is how you summarize so many studies together in one statement. You're not an undergraduate degree anymore where you are like, I'll summarize one study, second study, third study, fourth study. No, you have to club them all. You have to synergize, synthesize them together, and this is how you do it. Okay. Then then you have to talk about your main Ivs and your Dvs. Okay, so your IV is your dietary intervention, and your Dv over here is improvement in self-efficacy. So you have to tell the reader how were both of these variables measured. These are the kind of detail and the depth, guys, you need to go in when you are providing summarizing original articles to prove your point. All right, so a lot of students, they don't do this. They will just say, studies have shown that nutritional management on Asia Pacific population improves self-efficacy in those individuals. That doesn't tell me anything. That is not scientific writing. Okay, that is just say maybe a high school essay, all right, not even any university-based essay. So this is the kind of detailing you need. All right. So then say all of the intervention, meaning all of these studies, and then I have given you a range. What was the range of these interventions? Some studies did interventions only for 4 hours, and some of them were till 6 weeks. Okay, so I've given you again the minimum and maximum range of these dietary intervention. Address dietary management and improvements in self-efficacy. Okay, so they address dietary management and they an improvement in self-efficacy. So that is my IV, that is my DV. Okay, that meaning diet, IV, self-efficacy, DV. Then diet was usually intervened as group education session. Okay, so I'm now telling you how was the intervention done. Okay, the IV. Diet was usually intervened as group education session ranging from 1 to 2 hours for 4 to 6 weeks. Okay, focusing on topics such as carbohydrate counting and eating a balanced diet in type 2 diabetes. So you see how I have given you a broad overview about what was done. At least as a reader, this gives me a sense, okay, this is what the interventions were doing. They were doing stuff like carbohydrate counting, balanced diet, particularly for type 2 diabetes. There were group education sessions. They ranged from 1 to 2 hours, from anywhere between 4 weeks to 6 weeks. Okay, does that make sense? All right. Then you have, and this is a hypothetical example which I have created. Okay. So in real life, obviously, I have written a lot of papers, and this is what I have done. But just for the purposes of this specific example that I have carried forward from the second lecture or something, I designed this for you. Okay. So so let me see. Hang on. I have said over here 4 hours to 6 weeks, right? So over here, this should be, oh, sorry. Now you can see my big face, right? Sorry, I don't want to scare you. I just wanted to again just correct one of my mistakes, because although it is a hypothetical example, I should make it as accurate as possible so you guys are not confused and I give you the right knowledge. So 4 hours to 6 weeks, because see, if your intervention is only for 4 hours, logically speaking, you can't have nutrition education sessions going on for a minimum of 4 weeks. Of course, it has to be 4 hours minimum to a maximum of 6 weeks. Okay. So this is how I catch you guys also. Like, in your writing, when I see something like that, I'm like, hang on, the numbers are not adding up. Okay. And then you lose marks. Okay. So I lost marks over here. Isn't it fun when your teacher loses marks? I mean, like, it's good that the teacher admits also and she corrects in front of a student. I think that's a excellent way to learn. Um, but yeah, no, I just remember my school days, and some of my teachers, It's sad, some of the teachers are so egoistic. They feel that they cannot do any mistake, and you literally see that they have done a mistake, but you can't say anything. So, I mean, we couldn't say anything. It's different over here. But like when I was, this is when I was studying in Dubai, like it was pretty different back then. Okay, so yeah. All right, so yep, this makes sense. So I have told you how the IV is measured. And then I also give you a bit more of detail that the dietary data were most commonly, so now I can give you numbers collected using food diaries and food frequency question. Okay, so when you're teaching them about carbohydrate counting and stuff like that, and then this is the kind of dietary information you're collecting using food diaries and stuff. Okay, and now your DV. How was your DV measured? Self-efficacy was commonly measured using previously validated questionnaires. All right, and I have just made this up. Okay, self-efficacy index. There is nothing like that. But basically, this is how you would give an example that, okay, self-efficacy in these studies was measured using so and so type of a questionnaire or survey or whatever. Okay, and of course, you always have references. That's why I have written references over here whenever you're summarizing such kind of studies. Then you report your main outcome from these studies. That yes, these studies showed that the dietary intervention improved self-efficacy by four folds, or a dietary intervention, say dietary intervention was positively associated with, say, improvements in self-efficacy, whatever those 1-2 lines which you write. Okay, so guys, I hope you can now understand and appreciate this is the type of detail which is needed when you are, say, summarizing previous articles and proving your point. Okay, so a lot of students, they just directly jump on to this last statement over here. They miss all of this information out and they say, oh yes, the gap in the literature is that nobody has done such sort of an intervention only on Samoan population living in Australia, particularly in Canberra. Okay, great. Yeah, thank you for that. But what has already been done? You haven't told me that. Okay, so this is what people miss out, students miss out, and this is the heart of identifying the gap in the literature. You can only have a gap when you know what is already done. Okay, if you don't tell me what is already done, how do I know what you're saying is a gap is really a gap? Does that make sense? Okay, so that's why this is important. And guys, the last thing which I have written is the same as what was there in your ethics application, which is yes, there are limited ones who are limited, say, studies who are looking at this topic among Australian contexts in Canberra and all of that. And then again, you can have a line of significance, which I explained in the ethics application. That is always a best practice and a good thing to have. For example, why is this research so important? Of course, you have given enough significance earlier in terms of diabetes, but then you are synchronizing everything and you're telling me the final significance, which is optimal self-efficacy to manage one's own diabetes. It helps to improve your quality of life, which is your psychosocial health, and it minimizes your physiological diabetes related complications. Okay, so I hope this makes sense. And this is the kind of detailing which is required in scientific writing. Okay, so yep. So that's that. And then after you have done that, then you come to your aim. Now this remains the same as what you had learned in your ethics application. So the aim is written as I had taught you in your ethics application. And here, the other thing which you now have to write in a manuscript is specific objectives. Okay. So now let's look at how do you form SMART, aim, objective, things like that. Okay, so we are looking at this: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. All right. So now for your goal is also called as the aim. Okay, so don't get confused. So I have taken the title which we had, which the same example that we have been using since ethics application. Okay, so it's not that you're confused with 10 examples. You have the same example to follow on. All right, so over here I had explained to you in the ethics application how this title is a really good title. So I'll just briefly go over it again. So this is written in a SMART format, okay, for a aim. So yes, your goal or your aim should tell you what is the intervention about. So firstly, I tell you it's a nutrition-based intervention, which is good. First tick mark over there. Then I tell you the intervention is about improving self-efficacy for the management of type 2 diabetes. All right. Then I tell you who am I doing this intervention on? My target group, which is someone adults residing in Australia. All right. So this aim is written or the goal is written in a very well manner. Okay, so this is how you need to write it. Okay, now coming to your objectives. So yes, you're at the end of your introduction, you will end with your objectives, your aim and your objectives. You know how in article screening, I taught you the last paragraph of your introduction will tell you the aim of the study and what they are trying to do. Similarly, I'm teaching you best practice writing. Okay, so that the last paragraph of your introduction should say the aim and the objective. All right. So yeah, so now with the objective, the first objective which you have to write, guys, it is about what you have done in the classroom in assignment 2. Okay, that you developed and you implemented a 25 minutes not online, sorry, it should be say nutrition education session. Okay, so this sorry, I have written online is because last year, because of COVID, my students had to do this online. So I had modified all of my slides to suit them, but then I remodified all of my slides to suit you. Okay. So yep, of course, I'm recording this a little bit beforehand, say like a few months beforehand, before the semester starts. So you have everything ready. But yes, if things change closer to when you do your intervention, well, this is a message from the past that this is how you will be modifying it. If you have to do it online for some unforeseen reason, write online. If you do not have to do it online, this is how you write it. Okay. So yep. So yep. I thought it would be best because last year the feedback which I had from my students was they loved everything and which is great, cherry Mary. But something they said was it would be helpful if you could give say at least week 1, week 2 slides, like means couple of weeks slides released beforehand, because a lot of them were working, they were mothers, and they would do a lot of say reading in one batch, a couple of weeks reading in one batch and prepare themselves, which is completely understandable. But of course, guys, you will appreciate that only after a couple of say years, when you teach the subject and the subject is well shaped and well molded together, then can you say launch and you release couple of weeks say readings together. Okay, so that's why I generally release week by week release readings, but yes, this time I have tried to release say 2 weeks in advance or stuff like that. Okay, yeah, coming back to the point. All right. Okay. So yes, you have developed and implemented a 25 minutes nutrition education session. And then this is another example which I have taken, like I'm sick of the diabetes one. So I just wrote another example, which is increasing the knowledge regarding fruits and vegetable consumption and learning to create healthy lunch boxes. So see, increasing the knowledge regarding fruits and vegetable consumption. So this is what the students had done on the PowerPoint, for instance, okay? And creating healthy lunch boxes, this was the practical part of their intervention, hands-on stuff of their intervention. Among children 7 to 12 years of age attending the Aranda Primary School, okay? So hint over here, I have written ethics application, meaning it should not be ethics application, it should ideally be, say, the intervention done in the classroom, okay? So I'll just write for you, classroom intervention, because this is well captured. This will be a better hint. Then ethics application is quite an indirect hint. I think classroom is better. So you exactly know, oh yes, this is what I had done in the classroom. And that's why this is one of my objectives which I have to write. Okay. So one of your objective is your hands-on objective. The objective is related to your intervention, which you had planned, developed, and implemented in the classroom. Okay. Now your other objectives are related to the exactly the data analysis that you have done for your manuscript results. Okay. So you know have you will be learning this in the coming videos about more about data analysis and things like that. So let me just briefly tell you this, that to examine children's change in knowledge regarding importance of consuming fruit and vegetable using pre-post online questionnaire. Okay. So this is your objective too, which is you want to examine children's change in knowledge. All right. So this is from the questionnaire development. If you remember in the questionnaire, you had your section 1 was socio-demographics, section 2 was based on knowledge, All right, so this is your say when you do in SPSS the paired sample t test, you will be learning all of this. Okay, so please don't look blank when I talk about these things. You will be learning the data analysis soon. But yes, so you will be doing a paired sample t-test for your section 2. All right, so advance notice. I'll be teaching you all of that, don't worry. Okay, so this objective is related to your section 2 of your questionnaire, which is more focused on knowledge. All right, now the third objective is related to the section 3 of your questionnaire, to study children's awareness regarding Australian guides to healthy eating using a pre-post online questionnaire. All right. So over here again, the section 3, which is related to more awareness and attitudes and practices. So that is related to the section 3. Again, paired sample t-test is there over here. So basically, the take-home message over here is, sorry, that's my mom's phone ringing. Just ignore, okay? And yes, sorry, sometimes in background I have my little puppies barking, so please ignore that also. All right, but I'm just fortunate that I have my family with me when I'm recording this, like a month before your semester starts. So yes, I'm just happy that I have my family with me right now, and I'm so happy that I have my two lovely puppies. Okay, so yes, yeah, coming back to the point. So your first objective should relate to what you have done in the classroom and make it as specific as possible, which is the language which I have using. And your second and your third objective should be related to what you have done in SPSS. And in SPSS, you will be doing two analysis, all right? One will be for section 2, one will be for section 3, all right? So that's why you have these objectives, all right? And trust me, guys, once I teach you how you do the analysis in SPSS, the objective 2 and objective 3 will make much more sense to you. Just like how you can identify yourself with objective 1 because you have done your presentation. Similarly, the objective 2 and 3 will make more sense once you learn how to do the SPSS analysis. Okay. All right, guys. So again, guys, for methods, I had given you a brief overview about how do you write your methods in your ethics application, section G. So please do refer to your ethics application, look at the feedback you had at that time, synthesize and learn from it so you can give a better version of your work for your manuscript. All right. And guys, I really do see this improvement. Okay, so this is not just saying it, but a lot of students last year, when I did this unit, they had actually learned and they had taken so much from the feedback which I had given in their ethics application that when I looked at their say method section, for example, in their manuscript, I was so pleasantly surprised to see that, wow, they have actually incorporated all of the feedback and suggestion which I had given, and their methodology in their manuscript is so much more stronger. So I feel happy giving you more marks, guys. It's not like I want to cut your marks. So when when I see your growth, it just makes me feel so proud that, wow, like, means my learnings and my teachings to you have been like useful. Like I can see your growth. So it's wonderful. Of course, you always have some students who don't transition this, but there were several who did. And of course, they got the marks they deserved. All right, in both cases. Okay, so yep, so methodology, this is just an overview. The first two things, that your methodology for your manuscript should be written in such a way where somebody can repeat the entire experiment or the intervention from what you have written. Okay, that is how I was taught by my supervisor. So I've like what she has told me, that has like been imprinted on me, and I try to pass the same thing to my students now. Okay, so yes, of course, your method section can include references, and it should include references. And wherever possible, you should be providing a rationale. All right, so what do I mean by that? For example, when you're writing your inclusion and exclusion criteria in your methodology, for instance, you may say that, so this is just a random topic again, okay? You may say you choose to conduct, say, your intervention on children 0 to 1 year, meaning childcare centers who are targeting children 0 to 1 year, because you're focusing on promoting nutritional guidelines, which is healthy eating guidelines within the childcare setting in this age group, because children in this age group 0 to 1 year, maybe your reference shows that they are most vulnerable to not receiving optimal quality nutrition within the childcare setting. So they are the most vulnerable age group within the childcare setting. And therefore, you have chosen to do your intervention with childcare centers who are focusing on these very, very young children. Does that make sense? Okay. So of course, this should be backed up with references. All right. So wherever possible, try to provide such sort of rationale rather than saying we conducted we conducted our intervention on food outlets in the North Canberra region. Okay, good, but why? So your rationale is your why. You need to have some sound scientific justification as to why did you choose food outlets in the Northern Canberra region. Okay, so you need to have some sort of a rationale. It just can't be random. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. So yes, this is optional. If you want, you can write a statement about how your research, your study is ethics approved because you have done a mock ethics application and you have made a mock ethics application approval number for your participant consent sheet and information sheet. So if you want, you can have that statement inside. If you feel you are, say, short of word count, it's okay for you not to have that ethics application statement because this is a simulated assignment. So it's fine. Okay, statistical test, meaning the data analysis section, which is the last section of your same methods. Please, again, this is something which I had reinforced and encouraged you to do in your ethics application as well. Again, please look at my previous publication. See how I have written the data analysis section and then take the same idea and then write your data analysis section. Okay, because I'm fortunate that I have got opportunity to learn stats and grow in stats. So my stats is kind of decent. So I know what I'm writing, when I'm writing my data analysis section. So if you write it in the same manner, you will make minimal mistakes. Okay. Then, yes, some common ground about, say, your what do you say, your methods is that no results should be presented in your method section. That is like, say, a common scientific norm. Okay, so don't tell me the number of response rate or characteristics of the subject that you had 90% Caucasians and 10% something, something. Don't do all that in your methods. That's not the space to write it. All of that should go in your results. Okay, so yes, and do again, how I had given you couple of research articles which were intervention based during your ethics application to write your ethics application. So similarly, please do read those research articles and similar research articles in your space of intervention so that you can get a feel of writing the method section. See, as you as I have advised you and as you have understood that you do not have one formula for writing your method section. All the interventions are different. So your methods are going to be very different from each other. All right. You have one style of writing a introduction section for intervention based studies. And therefore I could give you, say, one sort of a framework in which you can write, but which is applicable to most cases. But methods, I can't give you that one single formula because as you have seen in your say presentations, every intervention is very different. Okay, so every method is going to be very different. So the more you read about methods from the articles that I have provided previously and articles in your space of intervention, the better will be your method section. Okay, so now I'll go into specific details as much as I can in my capacity. So yes, you will be having your study design, and that will remain the same as I said previously as well in your ethics, that it's a cross-sectional pre-post one group design only, intervention group design only. Your sampling technique, that depends upon what type of sampling technique you have chosen. All right. So maybe it's a snowball convenience based, maybe it's a stratified, maybe it's a random, all of that. So I have given you quite a good discussion about your sampling techniques in your ethics application. The same thing applies over here. Do not worry about calculation of sample size. In your sample size, which comes in your sampling technique, you can say because it's a pilot study, you choose to do the study on XYZ number only, which is your classmate number. This 15 which I have written over here is just hypothetical, but whatever your sample size is, in your class, that's it. Then yes, write your eligibility criteria. You can break it down into inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. Wherever possible, provide rationale. Okay, like how I provided rationale over here, that why have you chosen childcare centers who are catering to children 0 to 1 years of age for so and so reason. Like that, a good place to justify and provide rationale is your inclusion and exclusion criteria. So make sure you have good rationale with references. Okay, so yeah, that's the same thing which I have written over here. For instance, full day childcare centers, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. What do I mean by full day? So I've been very specific about it. Within ACT, the registered center capacity for 15 to 30 children, in-house cooking facilities. So these childcare centers should be providing the meals. All right, serving breakfast, brunch, lunch, tea time, dinner. All right, then early childcare centers for children 0 to 1 year, rational, which is provided to you in your earlier site. With at least two childcare staff and one cook. So this is the minimum people who should be, say, in the cooking management side of the childcare center. So cooking staff involved as directly related to what the child eats. Non-cooking staff are not. Non-cooking staff are involved in decision making. Okay, divide, and I would be providing a reference for it because there are a lot of say literature within the early childcare education setting where they have done interventions on both the cooking staff and non-cooking staff, because for the same reason, which is cooking staff cooks the actual meal and non-cooking staff will make the decision about what should be cooked and what should be provided as food inventories and things like that. Therefore, it is useful to do an intervention on both of these groups of people in the childcare center. So I would be having a reference over here as well. Okay. And as I have given a hint, divide your eligibility criteria into inclusion and exclusion criteria. All right. Then you have your recruitment strategy, which is, see, again, this I have gone into detail in your ethics application that maybe you recruited via, say, social media or face-to-face, medical centers, whatever is applicable for you. Okay, so that is what we mean by recruitment strategy. Then participant consent, yes, it is important for you to mention this in one line, where generally this is mentioned like this, that ethics was approved from the University of Canberra Ethics Committee, and all participants were provided with a participant information sheet, and they completed a signed consent form before participating in the study. This is how, like, I generally write in my papers. So yes, it's important for you to say that you had done the PIS and the consent form. Okay, so even though you had in your actual intervention, you just provided one copy to me, it's fine. But for you to understand how do you write this in real life, useful for you to have this in your manuscript. Okay, then you provide details about the study procedure. So what includes in a study procedure? Just firstly give topic details that you did an intervention to improve, say, awareness about nutritional guidelines in long daycare centers, for instance. Okay, then the nutrition education session. Now you have to provide details about what exactly did you do in your nutrition education session. Okay, so give a brief overview about the nutrition education session was for, I've written 30 minutes. I've just made a hypothetical example, but yours will be for, say, 25 to 20 to 25 minutes. And maybe you had three key things which you did, which was on, say, advising the staff about, say, nutritional guidelines for childcare centers, then modified menus, healthy menus for childcare centers. Maybe something, just to give an idea. So basically over here, you have to write a blurb about what exactly did you do in your classroom. Okay, so the exact intervention which you conducted. So that is what you have to summarize in brief. Over here, you also have to mention that you did an impact evaluation in brief using a pre-post questionnaire. Okay, and that then will lead to you providing details about what was there in the questionnaire. Okay, so then you have to provide details about the questionnaire, that our questionnaire had three sections. The first one was socio-demographic, then provide details about the socio-demographic variables. See, I've said details of the variable. So you have to provide details about each of these section variables. That in the first section, you measured socio-demographic variables, which were like mother's age, gender, etc., etc. Then similarly, you provide details about your section 2. What did you measure in your section 2 and how? And that is what I have written over here, that in section 2, maybe you had 8 questions and they were the responses were to be true or false or yes or no. And then in section 3, you had say 12 questions in 3 subsections and it was on a 5-point Likert scale. These are the type of details which you need to write over here. Okay. And guys, what I generally do when I have to save my word counts, if I feel that I'm struggling with word count, what I do is I provide a skeleton questionnaire framework structure in my appendix. Okay, so that I have done in one of my publications. So I'll just share it with you. So if you feel that, oh my God, this is becoming like 3-paragraph long and I just don't have so many words. So then what you do in this case, you make an appendix with a skeleton structure and then you write say a brief blurb over here and then you can refer your audience or your reviewer to the appendix. So let me show you how that skeleton structure looks like. So guys, this is what a skeleton structure of a questionnaire looks like. So if you see over here, this is for one of my manuscripts that I have said that yes, this is a, for mine it was, and for you also it will be online questionnaire completed by so and so. Then I give details about the questionnaire section. My questionnaire started with the information sheet, screening questions, consent form. Yours will not have all of these. Yours will not have these 3 things. Your questionnaire will directly start from section 1, which is your social demographic. Then you will have section 2, knowledge based, section 3, which is your awareness based. And then maybe you have section 4, which is on process evaluation. Yeah, that's it for you guys. Okay, so then I give details about what do I do in each section. Okay, so I give details like, so feeding, say strategies were measured on a 5-point Likert scale. And because this is a validated questionnaire, I just give the reference over here. So if you see, it is questionnaire section, item brief description and source. Okay, so source meaning the reference. Okay, so I do have some study developed stuff. Yeah. So core food picky eating in questionnaire. This is a study developed questionnaire which I have developed and I'll be validating it, but you don't have to validate anything. You are just doing an assignment. So see, that's why I have given many more details in this. So measures primary caregivers in perception about their children's core food intake about these things measured on a 5-point scale. And then it is adapted from these references, just like how you have, how I have encouraged you that you can take validated questionnaires and you can adapt and modify them to suit your setting. This is how I have written, that I have adapted it from these references. And for you, in some cases, it will be like adapted it from so and so, question number 468 and question number 1, 2, 3, were based on these theoretical health belief models or whatever it is. Okay. So this is how you can have a brief skeleton structure. And yes, and then I have footnotes wherever I have used abbreviations and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is something you can have in your appendix if you feel that oh my say blurb is becoming really big. All right, so I hope this is helpful, guys. And for you to get an idea, and I think I even say this later on, but for you to get an idea about how many words are devoted for introduction, methods, results, discussion, look at previous papers which are published in this journal and take an average count of it. Okay, so on an average, take like 5 to 6 papers which are similar to your say intervention style paper published in the Journal of Nutrition and Dietetics, and then take an average of, generally the introduction is between say 700 to 800 words, the method is between say 800 to 1000 words. This will give you an idea about how many a range of, like, a range on what you should be playing with. And this is how you can have this done very early on, when you have all of your teammates sitting together. Have this division of word count so that you don't have fights later on. Okay, that you wrote less and I wrote more or whatever, vice versa. Okay, so yes, guys, so this is what I mean by details of the variables needed. Okay, and then you have your data analysis. As I said, please look at one of my previous references on how you write data analysis. Okay, so guys, this Word document which I showed you, which had a skeleton structure. I think it would be better if I provide you with the published paper. Why? Because in case if you want to have a detailed look at it and you want to say include it in your appendix, then you can look at that publication. It's an open access article, so all of you can have access to it. So let me just provide you with that. Let me see what I'm sharing at the moment. Okay, I'm sharing the PowerPoint slides. Okay, so yes, in this slide, I have told you that you can have, say, that sort of an appendix. So let me just copy paste this reference for you. Okay, so if you look this paper up of mine, this is where you have that same, which I showed you, that skeleton questionnaire structure, which is published. So if you want that, look up the paper. So you have that reference. Okay. So yes, guys, data analysis, please look at my previous publications. Okay, so guys, this is just a summary to tell you that these are the kind of, say, items which are needed in writing a detailed and a thorough method section. Study design sampling technique, which includes the sample sizing as well. Eligibility criteria, which is your inclusion, exclusion criteria. Recruitment strategy, participant consent, which also then includes that ethics statement and participant consent. Study procedure, which is what is your questionnaire, what was your intervention about, the questionnaire detail, the variables in your questionnaire detail, then the data analysis is the last thing. Okay. So again, over here, final hints, final take-home messages. Read the articles that I have provided to you on Canvas during your ethics application. They are pre-post intervention based. If you have already found similar intervention based article in your space, read the method section of those articles. This will give you a better idea and confidence as to how you should be drafting your own. Then add in more bullet points to this as and when you feel appropriate. Okay, you're totally fine. This is just, say, a brief guideline, but you can add in more things. Then logic model is one of the compulsory appendix item which you have, and logic model is nothing but a summary of your methodology. Okay, so this is just to link these things up for you. So it's helpful for you in the long run. So if someone is writing the methods and the other student is doing a logic model, the student can take the methods of what is written by student number one, and then she can create a logic model based on the methods which is written. Okay, so this is just a hint that these documents are connected, methods and the logic model. Okay, and then as I said, optional skeleton structure questionnaire table, the one which I showed you in the Word doc, that is what I'm referring to. If you are short of words, then you can always have something like that. Okay, so yep, so that's that. And then data analysis and results. Guys, this I'll be covering it in a different video. Which week am I covering this? Let me just see my say timeline when I'm covering this. So yeah, in week 10 in your lectures is when I'm covering the video. Okay, so data analysis. Yep, yeah. So that is when I'm covering the video. So yes, week 10, some of you have already done your presentation in week 9, but others have to do their presentation in week 10. Okay, so we are ongoing with the presentation, but in week 10 lecture is when I'm covering the data analysis. Okay, let me just see again. What am I sharing? Yep, yeah. So yes, guys, data analysis and results are covered for you. They are covered for you in the next lecture, which is your week 10 lecture. All right, manuscript writing, because this is all part of writing. Again, lots of writing. So this, guys, I'll be covering it as in the same week's say lecture, but as a separate video. Okay, because it's just a lot more talking. Okay, so I need a break in between, and then we'll go on to the second video of the same lecture. Okay, the same week's lecture, but in a second video. Guys, you know how I had taught you about questionnaire development and things using Word document. Similarly, I'm teaching discussion using Word document. That's why I do not have a lot of slides on how to write a discussion, because everything is in a form of a Word document that my video will be teaching you about. Okay, so yep, so I'll be covering these slides then in that video, but rest assured, don't worry. It's not just these 2 slides. I have an entire Word document on how to write a discussion, and I'll be taking you through it. Okay, and then guys, I'll be also talking about the volunteering opportunity in that the second video. And just a heads up, this is about you becoming mentors next year for your juniors, which is your first year Masters of Nutrition and Dietetics students, because next year you'll be the senior year student. So you can mentor your junior year student. This looks really good on your CV, guys. Trust me, because you can then show some mentorship and governance experience. So that's why you had a lot of say your senior students mentoring you this year. Okay, so I'll be doing the same protocol, but for this, it's always good for you to approach me so I know that you are genuinely interested and I can contact you when I start doing this thing. Okay, so let me know that you are interested. Okay, so December is a good time to let me know you are interested, because December is when I start allocating topics and stuff. Anyways, I talk more about this in the next video. But so guys, I'll sign off over here because this is it for this video. So you will have two other videos on your say data analysis results and the discussion. Okay, so yes, that's it from my end, and see you in the next one.